What we've seen in the last 11 months is that they've been attacking, all of Israel indiscriminately, civilians. They massacred the children. They've destroyed the town. They have caused the evacuations of tens of thousands of Israelis, refugees in their country. And so we understand we cannot go back to the 6th of October, where Hezbollah is actually posing a serious threat on Israel. And our aim is to dismantle that threat.
Let's get a political perspective from Sharren Haskel, a member of the Knesset, Israel's parliament, represents the United Right Party, whose leader has recently joined the Netanyahu government. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew, for inviting me.
Is Israel braced for an extension of the war into southern Lebanon? And is the mood of the country, by and large, for it?
Well, I'll tell you what, the entire country understands we have to eliminate the threat of Hezbollah. For years and years, Hezbollah has posed a major threat, almost an existential threat, with hundreds of thousands of rockets and missiles and heavy equipment that can really target strategic assets of Israel and innocent civilians. And what we've seen in the last 11 months is that they've been attacking, all of Israel indiscriminately, civilians. They massacred the children. They've destroyed the town. They have caused the evacuations of tens of thousands of Israelis, refugees in their country. And so we understand we cannot go back to the 6th of October, where Hezbollah is actually posing a serious threat on Israel. And our aim is to dismantle that threat.
So if there is a ground invasion for the reasons that you give, what would be Israel's war aims in that incursion? Well,
look, I think personally, the IDF hasn't declared a ground invasion yet. It has suggested...
No, I understand, but if there was, what would the war aims be? What would the objective be?
I think that the first thing would be to seize and to eliminate the massive amount of arsenal and rockets and missiles that are piled up in Lebanon. I think that the second issue would be to try and go to their underground tunnels and bunkers in order to eliminate them. We found just a few years ago already tunnels from Lebanon into Israel that were meant to serve in an operation to do exactly the same as what happened on the 7th of October. A major ground invasion of Hezbollah into Israel, massacring towns, citizens, women, children, elderly, everything that we've seen on the 7th of October. So,
right, but I'm just trying to establish what Israel would hope to achieve. Do you believe
there's one goal?
Hold on, let me ask the question. Do you think that the ground incursion could be limited to perhaps the border with Lebanon up to the Litani River, because that's close to Israel, and Hezbollah has a lot of military resource in that area? Is that where the Israeli army's activities would concentrate?
Look, anything that I might suggest here is based on my own personal thoughts, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to sort of describe what's going to happen. Obviously, it's going to have to be all the way up to the Litani River. In the Security Council of the UN, there was a decision that Hezbollah is not allowed to come ahead of the Litani River.
And so that's 1701 UN resolution.
Enforced. Sorry?
That is UN resolution 1701.
Yeah. And unfortunately, UNIFIL staff and armed forces were not able to enforce that. It means that the United Nations could not enforce its decision, okay? And time after time, the people who paid the price for it is Israelis, and especially since the 7th of October, since Hezbollah has targeted since the 8th of October indiscriminately Israeli towns and citizens. So if we cannot rely on those United Nations forces to actually enforce that, it gives us no other choice but to make sure that they don't pose a threat after that line.
Well, it's pretty clear that you can't rely on these UN forces. You've had over 8,000 rockets fired into Israel from Hezbollah. But I also understand that in Israel there are still major protests continuing, calling for a hostage deal with Hamas. Are the hostages now being forgotten in this wider war?
Absolutely not. I mean, one of the goals of these operations is to bring back our family members as quickly as possible back home. And we will not forget them. We cannot finish this operation without bringing them back. I mean, this is straight on my thoughts and my heart every single day. I think of Shiri Bibas and her 2 babies that are with her for a year now. You know, elderlies, grandparents, husbands, brothers, and sisters that are being in horrifying conditions for a year, being tortured and abused. I mean, this is our mission. We need to bring them back home. We need to bring them back to us.
Your party leader Gideon Saar, has just entered government, the Netanyahu government. There's speculation he might be the next defense minister. Is that possible? Would you welcome that?
So, look, it was a suggestions about 2 weeks ago, but obviously things changed, and Gideon gave up, you know, and he declined the position. What happened today is that we entered the coalition, and Gideon entered as a minister to sit in the security cabinet to make sure that he's effectively and can contribute to the military strategy that we're having in the middle of a war. We didn't take any portfolios or positions, but we only have one goal in doing that, and it is to strengthen the current government with the last 2 weeks' moves, who had brought some deterrence back, who has brought some safety back and some hope in the heart of many Israelis who for 8 months have felt really deserted. I mean, think about it. More than 11 months, fires and missiles were shot on their homes, on their towns, on their schools, you know, without a response. The international community kept on saying they're going to bring and negotiate a deal, a diplomatic solution, but they failed us. They left us no other choice. And so I think today we are with more hope in the heart of the Israeli people, and we want to strengthen that. And that's why we entered the coalition.
All right. Thank you for that, and thank you for joining us. Sharren Haskel, a member of the Israeli Knesset, there speaking to me live from Israel.